the moon hits your eye like a big pizza pie, that's amore. When the world seems to shine like you've had too much wine, that's amore. Bells will ring, ting-a-ling-a-ling, ting-a-ling-a-ling, and you'll sing Vita Bella.
Hello there. Welcome to Alberto's La Bella Cuccina. Today is our 6th show. We're very happy. I'm very happy again today to have very good news that my friend Michael had a brand new heart. God bless you. And we're going to talk now to Mr. Bus Singer. Bussinger.
Bussinger, right.
So, Mr. Bussinger, you have a lot of great experience in the restaurant and the hotel business. I know that you have created the menus at the Ventana restaurant, and you were the general manager at Ventana. Would you tell us all about that? What kind of food did you have at Ventana in those days, and how long were you there?
Well, I'll back up just a little bit because I had been a stockbroker, a broker-dealer in Carmel. I had my own firm called...
how long ago? I mean...
that was in the early 60s.
In the 60s, yeah.
And I reached a point, I was a broker-dealer in Carmel from about 67 on, and then around 1970, I kind of dropped out and opened a coffee house in Carmel.
Which is where was that at?
It was at a Sunset Center.
Sunset Center,
in the basement. If you go down the driveway in the front, at the door, I put that door in the wall there, and had a coffee house, the old Bohemian style. It was, had guitars and pianos down there, and we had jams every night. The police would come by because that was illegal then to have the live music.
In Carmel?
In Carmel, yeah.
Wow.
Up until just a couple of years ago. So we did that. I did that for 4 years. That's where I learned to cook. I didn't have the least idea what I was doing, except I wanted to make espresso and hear the music and poetry and play chess and all that. So I found that the people that were there as guests came in, bought what I had, sandwiches basically, and they'd say, "Why don't you have lamb stew?" I said, "I don't know how to cook." The next day, that woman, pots, pans, lamb, would come in and cook lamb stew and show me how to do it.
Right.
Somebody says, "You should have a spaghetti night." So I don't know how to cook. So here's this guy. So this happened, and the items on my menu over the 4 years all had their names on it.
So you had
like Marie's lamb stew and Jeff's
spaghetti sauce.
Yeah, and just all that. So that was my introduction into food.
Into your career into the restaurant business, debut in the restaurant business.
Yeah, so I sold it. It was hard work, just an independent operation, and I thought, gee, I like the business. I think I'll start from the bottom and understand it rather than just cooking and putting out the food. So I looked around for a job as a waiter.
There you go.
And one of them was the whaling station.
With John Pisto?
I knew Johnny.
John Pisto was there?
Yeah, I knew him. So he said, I've never, ever put a waiter on the floor unless he'd been a busser first.
Right.
I said, I just sold a restaurant. I know the business. I know I got to do it. So I said, okay, I'll bus one day. You can watch, and either I'm in or out. That's it. I'll bus one day. So he said, okay. So I went in at lunchtime and bussed for a couple hours, and he had kind of a little peek hole through his slider at the time. It's much bigger now. And he watched me, and I did good. I was pleasant with everybody, and so he let me be a waiter. All right.
Just one day as a
busser, yeah. The next day, I was supposed to start waiting, but I had a call from this outfit in Big Sur that was about to open called Ventana.
Oh, boy.
And I thought, man, that sounds good.
This is the opportunity of my life.
Yeah. So I called John. He was so pissed. Okay, he said. So he figured it out. But we're still friends. He's a good guy. So then that was my start. That was in February 1975.
February
5th was we opened the restaurant at Ventana.
And you took part about the construction of the restaurant?
No, it was Was it there?
Just
being finished.
Everything was there when you got there?
Yeah. The rooms were only 24. Now they're 60. So I had built the other ones after that. But we opened with 24 rooms. Restaurant was half the size, and we had the campground of 100 sites.
You had a liquor license and
Well, liquor, yeah, wine, liquor. We had on the highway before you turn in to go up to Ventana, we had a store, like a grocery store, and a little delicatessen in there. We had a vitamin store in the back. We had a Shell filling station.
That's
all
great.
on the road.
Wonderful.
That was part of my operation. I had the campground. We built a whole bunch of employee housing to over 100 people lived right on the property. So I was the great patron as well.
So would they kind of share the rent with you, or did you give them?
I gave them whatever the local rate was. I charged half.
That's great.
So they paid.
And they will stay there, so they don't have to travel all the way up from Big Sur to wherever they live.
Yeah. Or pay the prices in Big Sur, which were high, or drive to town, which was
a lot of gas, and they never make it on time.
Plus the road closed frequently, and we'd be on nobody.
Mudslides and the mountain is.
So I paid for their water, electricity, trash, all the maintenance if it needed anything worked.
But you were going to do it anyway. You was going to pay trash. You was going to pay all of that.
Right.
So why not give them a break?
I did.
And have them live in there, and then you kept great help.
Oh yeah, that was. We had an award once way back, 25 years ago, that we were one of the top in the U.S. as far as lowest turnover employees.
Yes,
And
because you
treated
treat
them
them well.
Mm-hmm.
Treat them well. You give them food. You give them a nice place to stay. A great environment. I mean, Big Sur in those days, totally.
Some people can't stand it. Like our first
solitude. You mean this loneliness?
like island fever.
Oh,
like
boy.
Jeremiah Tower was one of our first chefs.
Right. Yeah. Well, that was your first chef, huh?
Yeah.
Jeremiah
And
Tower.
he lasted 4 months maybe.
And where did you meet Mr. Tower?
He knew the original owner that built the Ventana, Larry Spector.
Larry Spector, the movie.
No.
No.
Oh, well, movie, but not Phil
And
Spector.
then the writer. Oh, not the.
But he was a writer. He produced one of the producers of Easy Rider.
Okay.
The movie.
With the fundas.
Yeah. So that was his money to buy the property from Post family and build the Ventana.
Wow.
So that worked out really well for him. And our guests, after we first opened, the rooms were only 24, so they were mostly booked all the time because he had been tied so much into the movie industry that all the guests were Steve McQueen, Ally McGraw, Candace Bergen, all these guys people were there because of his connection with Hollywood. So the 24 rooms were just delightful to be filled with all these great personalities all the time. Yeah.
And what was your how much you pay in those days for a room?
Oh God, the rooms were around $85. Now we're right at $1,000. You know.
My goodness.
So, but that was quite a few changes.
And you had room service and.
Not much. We
you have the restaurant, so they will come down.
The restaurant, it's like a quarter of a mile, and. In the 80s, I built a path between the two so people could walk over. Otherwise, they had to kind of hike on the road. So that worked out really, really well. But room service we tried, but we had to cook at the restaurant, get in a cart, take it over to the inn, and then bus it up to the room. And by that time, you lost the aesthetics, the heat,
Yeah, of course.
So that didn't. Once in a while,
that really didn't matter to the customer because he knew that he wasn't a kind of a.
We'd explain that.
And then he has to,
But we liked. At the restaurant, we were up at the 4-star level, and we wanted to make sure
everything
that people,
perfect,
because if they got a cold steak, and the thing they remember when they get back to Hollywood is that steak was cold. Whoa, it's like you got to kind of cover all that. We eventually did. One of the newer owners, a couple years ago, I helped him. They built a little restaurant at the hotel in the lobby. So now they can prepare meals right there. So it works out much better. There's been a lot of growth.
I can imagine.
The restaurant is now double. It was half the size originally.
Double the size of it.
Yeah.
So what it will be now, the size of the restaurant at this moment, like 100 people, 150?
And of course, the patio would take 100. So probably the inside 80, 85, something like that. Keeps a full house. And then in the fine weather, the outside is used as well for dinner, lunch all the time.
Every day, lunch.
So it's fantastic. I still love it. I retired in '95, so I had from 1975 to 1995. So I had 20 years.
So if you go back there, do you have, the nice service and and the free luggage and all that? Would you?
Yeah.
Free room, your free.
Sometimes, yeah.
You were one of the pioneers in that.
But they've
in that
changed
hotel.
owners about 4 times
But
now.
I mean, they still should have that kind of
The attitude's good, and in every hotel, every department, like maintenance, landscaping, restaurant, there's still employees there that I hired 35 years ago. And,
Because that's what I was saying.
Yeah.
I mean, if you
So they treat me.
you have the great accommodations,
Oh, yeah.
great ambiance, and
Yeah.
great vacation, then why not? Great
yeah.
food.
Yeah. Well, Wendy, my wife, Wendy Brody, we go down for special anniversaries and so forth. So it's always.
And tell me one thing. How did you met Miss Brody?
Wendy Brody,
yeah.
my love.
Yes.
We've been together just about 25 years.
Wonderful. Did you guys cook together?
No, not really. She never cooked at Ventana. Well, she did some classes there after I left.
So you met her when you were working.
I was
actually at Ventana.
I was still at Ventana, and she was chef at Stone Pine Resort up the valley.
And how that came about? I mean, the Stone Pine. I mean, they're so secluded there, and he's so incredibly pretty.
Yeah.
I mean, and they had great food, I suppose. And
They-
what was the chef? Who was the chef in those days at Stone Pine?
Well, when the people that own it now bought it, they.
I will ask you later who owned that place now. But
it's called the Crocker Mansion because the
Crocker Mansion.
wife of the owners way back when had horses there and some cattle, and her name was Crocker before she married. I think it was Griffin. I can't remember his name. I think it was
Merv Griffin, you mean?
No, not Merv. Although he lived.
Merv had his house here. I know
He had
that.
a house actually up another ridge over
Yeah.
from there. It wasn't too far. But Henschel are the owners now.
Henschel, oh.
They bought it from the estate, and that's when it became a bed and breakfast or a hotel. And that was when they hired Wendy. When would that have been? She was there 8 years, so around 81, 82. She started there as a chef, and they had like 1 room booked, maybe 4. They only had 10 rooms, plus some at the equestrian center, some kind of cabin-like. So she was the chef for 8 years, and we met.
Did you guys stay there? Were you had accommodations there? At the,
Oh, we did.
Yeah, so
she lived on the property,
Right. Yeah.
up above the kitchen, and I lived at Ventana. I built a house for myself on Ventana.
Wow.
I built. Well, it was
You
their
built-
money. Transamerica bought Ventana from Larry Spector in 1982, December. So they had left me alone because I knew what I was doing, and they didn't know
Definitely.
hospitality. They just knew
They just got the money.
they got so they left me alone, and I helped them in the process of building 16 more rooms.
It was very wise of them to give you all of that liberty
They
since
gave
you
me
could do everything.
absolute liberty, yeah.
You built an empire for them in those days.
We had worldwide recognition. Travel Leisure called us the most romantic inn in the world.
I can imagine. Yes.
Hideaway Reports constantly put us on the top of the list. So we were just always
Always
magically.
mentioning it.
Excuse me. So, wow, where were we? Transamerica would, I'd say, hey, we need to get rooms renovated. What's it going to cost? It's going to be under $1 million. So we did, okay. And, it's like they trusted me enough.
Right.
And, of course, I had to send my reports monthly and let them know what we're doing, where the money and the cash. But they left me alone. They'd come down.
Let's see, why not? I mean, everything was going well. The project was doing very well, and the restaurant doing very well. You got all the rooms sold out. You have great famous people. Why not? I mean, I wouldn't be worried about it at all.
I had one anecdote I got to tell you.
Okay.
Speaking of them, recently after they bought it, the board of directors of Transamerica came down to visit and see what this great property was that they bought. And there was about 15 of them, husbands and wives together, so it was about almost 30 people. And I had the patio set up with a big table under the arbor, and we were sitting there for lunch, and I was sitting with my back to the ocean facing...
We're going to continue with this conversation.
Oh, it's a good story, I will.
Right after this message. Thank you, David. Take it away. Hello, welcome to Alberto's restaurant. Come on in. At Alberto's, you will have a new experience at great Italian dining. We have fantastic pasta dishes like fettuccine alfredo and eggplant parmesan, and you have to come in and try the chicken marsala and the calamari con limone. I take great pride in everything I prepare, and I know you will love it. And what's dinner without a little wine? At Alberto's, we have a great selection of wines to go with your dinner.
Alberto's Restaurante in Pacific Grove.
Come and see us tonight. Salud! Salud!
How can you get a crispy restaurant tortilla bowl, but without frying it in oil, grease, and fat?
Just do what I do. Hi, Mark Gill here with the perfect tortilla pan. The fast, easy way to shape, bake, and create delicious tortilla bowls. Place any tortilla into the non-stick pan, pop it in the oven, and in just 5 minutes, perfect tortilla bowls that are always golden and crispy. Fill them with steak and peppers for a crunchy fajita bowl. Perfect Tortilla Pan's exclusive design works with all tortilla sizes, forming a deep-shaped edible bowl. Plus, it's all dishwasher safe. We'll send you not one, but 2 for just $10. Call right this minute and we'll double your order free. Just pay separate processing and handling. Every caller today will receive our cutting cup to slice, dice, chop, mince, and measure as it cuts. Yep, you get it all for just $10.
To order perfect tortilla for $10 plus processing and handling, call 1-800-292-0574 or order online at buyperfecttortilla.com.
Hello there. Welcome back to Alberto's La Bella Cuccina Hour. We're having a great conversation with our great guest, Mr. Bus Singer. we have a joke
Right.
here. Really.
Okay, singing on the bus.
He was telling us about the great guest he had.
Anecdote, though, with the owners, the board of directors of Transamerica, they had just purchased the property a few months prior, and they all came down to see what the property was because they knew they spent the money on it, but just a couple principals were down. The rest hadn't seen it. So the whole board came down with their spouses and had them set up on the patio at the restaurant, and I joined them on the end of the table. And we were packed. It was packed. The people were lined up at the door to the patio, through the restaurant, and out the front door of the restaurant, waiting to be seated. It was just packed, the whole, probably 100 people on the patio. Beautiful sunny day. It was gorgeous. And all at once, I heard the voices that you usually hear kind of come. It all stopped. And I looked over, and you can't believe this. Here's this woman, totally naked, not a stitch of clothes on, in the middle of the patio, yelling obscenities like crazy and screaming around like that. And she fell down, and I thought, oh God, I had no idea what. So I jumped up and rushed over, and as it turned out, my food and beverage director had seen it from inside the restaurant. So he came out, and we both got there about the same time. She's laying, writhing around, and swearing like crazy. And for some reason, I still don't know how it came to me. I looked down, and she had a Band-Aid on her knee.
Oh.
And I said, oh, you poor thing. It was like, she stopped. It's like talking to a kid, baby.
Yes.
And so I thought, oh, this is great. Now, how do we get her out of here? And around the patio, you could just go around just a quick distance and out the back. And I thought, oh, no, my food and beverage director is just like, oh, God, he's about 6'4" and 400 pounds. And here I am. We're kneeling next to it. So we can't take this gal up and walk through the back.
Did you put a tablecloth over her? And then?
No, we tried a couple of things, napkins, and she threw them off. So we, side by side with her in the middle, walked through the restaurant, and here's this crowd of people waiting to be seated. They didn't know what was going on out there.
Right.
So here we are, these two guys with this naked woman walking through the restaurant to the parking lots.
So did you ever find out what happened? And
Yeah,
who was
she. I called
was she,
my
was she a guest?
a host. No, she just
She was not a
appeared.
guest. She just showed up.
She showed up like
naked?
lunchtime, and she was there at lunch. I think I don't even know if she had ordered anything, but she just tore her clothes off and started yelling. And then our hostess called 911 and called the sheriff right away when it happened. So when we got to the parking lot, she broke loose of us and ran barefoot, well, down, and her car apparently was down there. So I went back in to talk to the sheriff on the phone, and so they said, okay, they called me back about an hour later and said, we found her up at Hurricane Point, halfway down Big Sur, doing the same thing in the road, up dancing around naked in the road.
Oh my goodness, she was a little.
And they took her to Chomp Hospital and put her in psycho ward. And then that was the end of the story. Until about 6 months later, I got a call from this woman. She said, you have my clothes and my shoes down there. And I said, I'll send them. Where do you?
Did you kept all that? No.
I asked my one assistant to send them, and I think they did have them.
They did have them?
Yeah. So I said, don't come. We'll send them to you.
Special delivery.
Yeah. So, that's an outrageous story. But there are so many stories in a restaurant,
yes.
a hotel.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I had so many stories to tell, but I'm more interested in you. I mean, how many chefs actually you, after Mr. Tower was the chef?
We had another one that came from United Airline. He had been their food, I guess the master chef for all the packaged food that went on the planes. And he decided, he was Swiss, he decided that he didn't want that much of a push anymore, and he liked the area, and we had him for about 4 years. He had his kids were born there, and eventually he got an offer, I think Germany, and he decided to go.
He decided to go back home, kind of going back home.
Then we had I had two brothers that were working as sous chefs, and I promoted them jointly as chefs. They were both.
Great, yeah.
They were joint executive chefs. So they worked.
Do you remember the name? Were they still around or
No,
gone?
they were gone. I think if I remember right,
Were they from the area?
Yeah, and they hired him. What I found with employees there was that if I found a person that really loved Big Sur and was smart enough to learn, I would hire them into positions and they'd stay forever.
Correct, yeah.
My inn manager was with me for like 16 years. My food and beverage was about the same, about 14 years. My maintenance chief engineer, 10, 12 years. They all stayed, and they all ended up in Big Sur almost accidentally. The inn manager was a railroad locomotive engineer and dropped out in Big Sur, and he ended up being a fine inn manager for over 15 years. Food and beverage.
No experience at all? I mean,
not zero. Engineering trained. But smart.
But you gave him a great break. I mean,
Teach him.
Not 24 rooms is not a lot of them, but I mean.
Well, that was a start.
And how many maids that you had in there to take care of that little hotel? And then later on it became a medium-sized hotel.
Oh, 60 rooms.
60 rooms, yeah.
So it was quite a staff.
Junior suites, master suites, and all of
not
that?
just a couple of those. It was mostly individial rooms.
So
and they're joint buildings. Are like
do they have the kitchen? Some of them, no.
One did. I had built one that had 2 rooms and kind of a living space in the middle, so it could go as a whole suite, or just one room, or just one room in this, so we could, kind of work it around.
Right.
So that, but the rest were just mostly single rooms, suites, upstairs, downstairs.
And they had the accommodations. They had facility to be at the restaurant and eat there, so they didn't have to. In those days, there was no kitchens in the rooms or anything like that.
No, I had one
refrigeration or coffee. They would come down to the
lobby. Had the coffee and the pastries
ready to go.
that we made at the restaurant and sent them over, croissant and so forth.
Right.
Cereal.
To the room?
To the room as well, or at the lobby.
Either way. Lobby, yeah.
And they say now there's a little restaurant right at the lobby, so they can cook a whole either a breakfast or a dinner there. That's fine. But we had such guests too. We had oh God, Sir Alec Guinness.
Yeah, he's amazing.
Yeah.
He's no longer with us, right?
Probably not. No, I don't think
He's
so.
in heaven. How about, do you ever see Laurence Olivier in there?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah?
I don't recall them. But I'm terrible. Wendy, my wife, knows movies. I don't know. My desk clerks used to get upset at me. They'd say, so-and-so's coming. They found that I didn't know anybody who these
Right.
people were. So they would call me and say, well, Robert Redford's checking in. So then I would know
So
him.
Mr. Redford was there? I mean,
Yeah, a
was
lot.
he there?
Yeah,
A lot?
Yeah.
He
fact-
likes that kind of rural life, doesn't he?
He loved it. In fact, he was looking at buying a property down the coast. I don't know if he ever did or not. But we had become friends, and at my house on Ventana,
Right.
I would let him use it, and then I'd use his house at Sundance or
What
or-
good deal you had in
Yeah,
there with
yeah.
Mr. Redford.
so. And in New Mexico, he had a house, so we'd stay there. Wendy and I. My kids, my daughter
great?
lived in New Mexico, so we'd get together at his house. He'd get together at my house.
So which one's one of your best? I mean, like Mr. Redford stayed there, and was McQueen the same thing with McGraw?
He.
They were good buddies of mine. I mean,
Are they?
years and years ago.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, he was funny. Steve, he loved Old Milwaukee beer.
With ice.
Yeah. And I don't know if you ever tasted Old Milwaukee beer, but
No.
it is not a good beer. I don't think.
No.
It's not quality. But
He
he
used to
loved
have,
it.
He used to come to my bar and have Heineken's, and he put in ice in
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, he loved
And I
it.
said, "What was the with the ice?" I like that, but okay, fine, you know.
But he wanted me to carry it, and I wouldn't carry Old Milwaukee. I says, this is Ventana.
Yeah, but he'll be there when? I mean, once a year, maybe once in the blue.
Well, he
moon.
used to, when we first opened, he was there every week. He'd
Right.
stay. He would drive up the coast on his
Bring his
motorcycle,
cycle, yeah.
and Allie would fly
Right,
into Monterey,
right.
and we'd pick her up, bring her down. But I wouldn't carry Old Milwaukee, so the next time he came up, he had 2 cases on the back of his motorcycle. And
That's the best way to do it. If you want something,
Yeah.
you bring your own.
Yeah, but they were really great people. All these years, the 20 years that I was there, the people, high end, whatever they were, always just wonderful.
They've been nicer
Very,
than
very.
usual.
Oh, they were super.
Because they were happy. There's nobody
and
there
they
to
were-
bother them. No, nobody, you know.
No.
And they have a great time and
Some
they
were
enjoy
concerned about
rooms.
being like employees doting
Bring
on
them
or
away,
stuff.
yeah, yeah. No.
But we had so many that
Yeah, because for them it was just another guest.
Yeah. So I learned a lot because I didn't know anything about movie people. So.
No, didn't you go to the movies?
I very rarely went. Yeah, I did. But Wendy loves them, and my kids
Yeah.
had 3 children. They they all know the movies, but I didn't watch TV much either, except this right here.
How about any other actor that you
Oh God,
we had a good rapport with that?
Oh, all of them. Goldie Hawn was
Goldie
a
Hawn.
sweetheart. We would, I'd have dinner with her once in a while. She'd be there staying, transitioning to L.A. maybe, and we'd have dinner and just chat. She was funny. She felt I was single at the time, and she kept mentioning her husband. And I realized all at once that she was making sure I didn't want to try to be hitting on her. So
No, really?
But I wasn't. But
Very attractive lady when she was young, yeah?
And she would like breakfast. She'd just get up and come over, no makeup, nothing, just sit and have coffee with us. So she's a sweetheart.
I think she comes from Malibu too. I mean, if she was.
I believe so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. She used to be a Malibu person.
Yeah. And what's his name of later years?
I don't remember her husband's name. Jack Russell, so no?
Maybe that's I don't know. I can't remember either.
I don't.
But who was the
Pianist?
top drum? What was the movie?
The movie.
Top Gun.
Uh-huh.
What's his name?
No. I can't think of it
No,
now.
Anyway, he came. A lot of people would come.
Stallone, you mean? No. Sylvester Stallone? No.
No. Shoot, it's the most popular.
Oh boy, you know.
He's making a new movie now too. But see what I mean about
Yes.
And you'll name, of course, everybody in any audience watching will say, "My God, you know who that was?" We have a quiz.
So
Anyway, a lot of them would come and book like a weekend or 2, maybe 3 days, and then invariably so many would call to try to extend their stay.
Right.
A lot of times we couldn't accommodate because we'd already booked
Right.
the rooms, and we never went.
So we really have to call it way in advance to make a reservation.
If they could do it, yeah.
Like 3 to 6 months.
Well, not that long, but
you still.
at least a couple of months. Well, yeah.
But you had a
couple
pool
months.
in there and the whole thing.
We had a pool in '87. I increased our hot tubs,
Right.
which we had the clothing optional, so people would either be in the hot tubs nude or with a bathing suit on. And then some of the guests were complaining about the nudity,
Right.
so we built another one up the hill, so they had options to take either one that's nude
Yeah,
or
without.
not.
Without.
And a pool too, so I built an extra pool at the same reason up above that, so they could use the pool for whatever.
With or without.
Yeah. So that worked out well too. Yeah.
Then you had room service there so they could go in the waiters and
Yep.
have fun.
Yeah. They would order drinks especially in the summer the swimming. So
Did you ever met Humphrey Bogart there and people like that?
No, not the old
That was way
timers.
too early, huh?
Yeah. Isn't that funny? I can't remember the names. If you threw names at me of actors, I'd probably
Yes.
know them.
Well, it was in those days. It was Howard Hughes ever
No.
was there.
Had a lot of
Merv
politicians.
Griffin?
Merv was down, yeah. And I don't think, you know what? Clint never came down
Mr. No.
Yeah, it's before he bought the Mission Ranch.
Right.
Yeah, but he did.
He was in Italy probably working
It was
on his
Cowboys.
cowboy movies.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. How long do you think Mr. Eastwood has been here? Many years, huh?
Of which?
Mr. Clint Eastwood?
Has been what? I'm
He's
sorry.
been in the area.
Oh, God, yeah. I can remember back to we built the Hog's Breath in the 60s. So, yeah, I'd say middle 50s, late 50s. I came here in 62.
Okay, we're going to continue talking about this, especially now we're going to go back to Carmel.
Okay.
We're going to go back and discuss Carmel. We're going to do the other places where Wendy Brody used to work.
Yeah, yes.
And after this message. Coming in. At Alberto's, you will have a new experience at great Italian dining. We have fantastic pasta dishes like fettuccine alfredo and eggplant parmesan. And you have to come in and try the chicken marsala and the calamari con limone. I take great pride in everything I prepare, and I know you will love it. And what's dinner without a little wine? At Alberto's, we have a great selection of wines to go with your dinner.
Alberto's Restaurante in Pacific Grove.
Come and see us tonight. Salud!
Salud! Help! I've fallen and I can't get up.
A fall can render you helpless. You can be stuck on the floor for hours or even days. But with Life Alert Protection, you can get help fast 24/7. One touch of a button sends help immediately, even when you can't reach a phone, whether it's a fall, a medical emergency, an intrusion, a fire, or CO gas. Life Alert Protection is the answer.
When you have a heart attack like I did, and there's no one there, Life Alert was there for me.
Life Alert dispatchers save a life from a catastrophe every 17 minutes.
For a free Life Alert brochure, please call 1-800-551-3524. Don't delay, call now. That's 1-800-551-3524. For your free brochure, call now at 1-800-551-3524. That number again is 1-800-551-3524.
Hello there. Welcome back to La Bella Cuccina Hour. We're talking to Mr. Boston Girl here again.
Correct.
We're going to tell the stories about Carmel.
Yeah.
When did you actually had Lincoln Court with the
Lincoln Court restaurant? It was actually the old Sans Souci.
Sans Souci was
for I think 35, 36 years,
right.
Long time. In fact, that was years and years ago when I was married my ex-wife.
So you were married once?
Once before.
Once before, and then you got lucky with
I got lucky,
Wendy.
yeah, definitely so. But it was always a restaurant, an elegance French restaurant and so forth. But it had gotten, the parents that had operated it died, and the son was running it, and then it was sold, and the guy, they just didn't treat it right. So we took it over in 2000 and remodeled the whole inside, dressed it up, and fixed it all up great. We didn't do a lot to the kitchen, which was the next phase.
It was there.
Yeah. So, and then my son was a chef with Jan Birnbaum, and he see, there you go with names again.
That's okay. Let's continue.
The group in San Francisco.
Right. Culinary group.
Yeah, restaurant owners, and he worked in Seattle. My son, Mike, and so I called him and I said, "Okay, we're going to get this restaurant. I need you to be chef, and Wendy can be the executive chef, but she's not worked in restaurant kitchens. She's always had the specialties like Stone Pine, Gardner's Tennis Ranch. Oh God, she.
Well, she worked at Gardner's too.
Yeah, she was Gardner's
facility there.
And
how long was she there at Gardner's?
Gardner's was I think an off and on, couple years, and then she left Stone Pine when Rancho San Carlos, the 20,000 acres, which is now called the Preserve.
Yeah.
That was Rancho San Carlos. And they bought it, outfit out of San Francisco, bought the ranch, 20,000 acres. And we're going to develop 300.
Is this a Carmel Valley Ranch or is it something else?
No, it's further up. It's bigger than Carmel Valley, 20,000 acres. Yeah.
Wow.
It runs parallel, actually, south.
And what's in there? Just
well, it was all cattle at the time.
But right now, what is it?
Now it's developed as a home sites. Their original purpose in buying it was to develop 300 homes, exclusive neighborhoods like it is, and each lot, was many acres, and you couldn't see one house the other. It's still now. We worked. They hired Wendy to be the chef, and there's a big house there, hacienda, that she lived upstairs and the kitchen downstairs, and cooked mostly for the first couple of years just for consultants and employees and so forth until they started bringing guests in, and then she was the fine culinary person for many years. So for 8 years, she was following me home to Ventana one night late down the Coast Highway, probably 2 in the morning or so. It was late, and going to my house at Ventana, and she was following me, and all at once I turned the corner down where the lighthouse is, and her lights weren't behind me anymore. So I slowed down, then I stopped, and I thought, oh no. So I hurried, rode back, and sure enough, her Mercedes was up on the roof. The engine was running, and the wheels are spinning, and she's down in this almost like a ditch, not quite a heavy ditch, on the Hill Ranch, which is a big cattle place right there by the lighthouse. So I jumped down. The engine was racing, and I was afraid of fire or whatever might happen with that upside down. And I couldn't get the doors open because it was down. I finally kicked in the back window, crawled in the back seat, and I couldn't reach the keys to turn it off.
Wow.
But I grabbed the gear shift and jammed it, and it stalled out. So that I felt better with. But she was still strapped up in her seatbelt, hanging upside down. Her head is,
Was she okay?
No, well, she had a slight concussion as it turned out at the time, but she was not conscious. So I loosened her belt and pulled her out through the window and took her to the hospital at Chomp.
So you got to go back all the way back?
To get her back up there. And she was there a couple hours, and they just took patches in her head, a little bleeding from the glass, and that was it. So we started coming back to Ventana, and she said, we better stop at my car to get stuff out of it. And you remember the Twilight Zone?
Yes.
Remember that?
The program.
We had that
show.
experience because I said it was right, the car's not there. So we drove back and forth. There was no hole in the fence, like there was a big gash.
Right.
No evidence. This is crazy. I drove back and forth.
Well, the car...
It was gone. So I got back, and I called the local CHP, who were friends, worked with us all the time at the restaurant, and it was a woman this time who was on duty, and she just chewed on me. She said some guy, a bartender from Big Sur, was heading back home and saw the car, called us. We went down, fixed the fence so the horses wouldn't get out, drug the car out, swept up the glass, and I felt better anyway about that. But she chewed on me. I said I called Kenny, the local.
Cell phones in those days.
No.
What are you, smoke
But she
signals?
said you're supposed to call the desk. You don't call the individual patrolman. I said, well, I know him. He's gone. Because I called him, and he said, is it on the road? I said, no. He said, well, we'll take care of it in the morning. And he went back to bed. So he was a bit upset.
Wow.
She was furious. Barbara. So anyway, that led to the fact that she had to stay. She stayed at my house at Ventana for about a month, and she couldn't work at Stone Pine. So they hired another chef. At the same time,
Because she was not in good shape.
not working, and she had a bit of a concussion. But at the same time, Rancho San Carlos had just purchased that property, and were looking for a chef. So they got a hold of Wendy. So it was just like coalesced right into that. So then she was there for 8 years.
Wow.
When we were trying to get permission to subdivide it,
Right.
300 sites on 20,000 acres. But some people that we call the cave people, citizens against virtually everything, were fighting it, and we lost a movement, Measure M. So all the employees were gone. So Wendy and I left. And then eventually they got the permit a couple years later, and they've subdivided, and they've got... They've probably got 100 homes out there now, out of the 300 allowed. So they're doing well finally. And then Wendy, we were out, and I was consulting, and she was doing some consulting. And then we got to Lincoln Court. We bought the Sans Souci restaurant, and then
Was it closed in those days, or was it open?
it was open, but like closed sometimes. And the guy, I won't mention names, but he wasn't totally with it as far as business. So we had it successful for a good 2 years. 9/11 hurt us a lot.
Very much so. Everybody
You could feel
was
that.
hurt.
But at the same time, we had an offer to buy it, and we had an offer from a local TV station to create a cooking show.
Right.
And we had just built the house at the same time we remodeled the restaurant in the Carmel Highlands. So we built a kitchen big enough that Wendy liked to teach. So here we had this kitchen, had the house, didn't have the
Where
restaurant.
was the studio?
The kitchen.
Yeah.
Or in the house, yeah. So we started producing a television show, Art of Food with Wendy Brody.
Yes,
on
I have. I've
PBS.
seen that.
Yeah.
PBS.
So that's the progress.
That is a great opportunity. I will say that
It worked. Yeah.
PBS came to you and
They
found you.
Yeah. Well, we sent them a sample, our first show. We just made it for Comcast. And they sent it off. They loved it, the first show. They loved Wendy's style and she's different than the top chef type. Totally different. So they loved that and still do. They're still rerunning them now. It's been 10 years. Yeah.
She gets royalties?
PBS, they pay a little bit because of trademark, copyright.
Right.
But that's it. They don't pay for any with the
and
show.
Would you like to do more shows like that with Wendy?
We lost a lot of sponsors when the economy flattened out.
It's still going on.
So, but we've got, Wendy has, a good 1,000 shows in her head, just waiting to come out. All we need is the production money to be able to do it. But we'd be happy to do it. She loves teaching, Wendy, and the show is like teaching. It's really much the same thing. We put out, our first shows took us, maybe 2 days of filming and 4 days of editing, and we had it down to the last couple of years. We could do 2 shows in one day, have it edited and packaged the next day.
Who was your engineer? Did you do that yourself?
Myself and the cameraman. Our cameraman is great. I don't know where he's at anymore. I haven't seen him. But he built little, I call him the Wizard of Oz. because he had this little booth thing he built, and he had 4 cameras out in the kitchen, and he could manage all 4 cameras in his little booth. You know, come down, up, over.
Sideways.
Yeah, it's just one guy, and then myself and Wendy. That was it.
We're very lucky. We have our own. It's very good too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Yes.
So, and I love it. I'm, I guess, kind of a ham because I like doing it. And as I mentioned, the other PBS created a new network called Create. And throughout Canada and the U.S., both PBS and Create are running all our shows still, rerunning it. So, but it's getting a lot of mileage out of those 9 shows. The 26 shows they've got that they keep running.
Consecutively, yeah.
And we've got 90 more at home and many more to make. Yeah.
It's always time to continue, working in shows and continue
people
doing more.
To invest. And, everybody loves Wendy, loves the shows, but it's like so many people, when it comes to spending money on advertising, it kind of gets to the lower end where it's really
It's very
necessary.
hard nowadays to advertise, and especially my experience is when you advertise in the newspapers, actually people don't even
read the paper
papers
anymore. No.
They are going to the internet, and maybe maybe they might look at it and they maybe not, and so I don't know.
Yeah, I'll read a lot on the internet, but the local Herald I get in my hand every day.
Yes, you can see that. I don't. I go into the internet and read any other paper.
And you just select what you want.
Yes,
yeah.
I will, We're going to continue talking about more and more and more right after this message.
Okay, sounds
Thank you.
good.
Hello, welcome to Alberto's restaurant. Come on in. At Alberto's, you will have a new experience at great Italian dining. We have fantastic pasta dishes like fettuccine alfredo and eggplant parmesan. And you have to come in and try the chicken marsala and the calamari con limone. I take great pride in everything I prepare, and I know you will love it. And what's dinner without a little wine? At Alberto's, we have a great selection of wines to go with your dinner.
Alberto's Restaurante in Pacific Grove.
Come and see us tonight. Salud. Salud.
What's eye-poppin', worth chompin', and always show-stoppin'? Pop Chef, the new fast and easy way to make delicious edible creations your family will love to eat. Grab your camera to capture this gift-making fun for everyone. Watch, just choose any shape, press into your favorite food, then pop perfect hearts, pop super circles, or pop sweet stars into a mouth-watering masterpiece. Transform simple sandwiches into extraordinary ones for lunch. Turn regular fruit into a healthy bouquet display. Or create the coolest vegetable party tray that will impress any guest. No knife, no cookie cutters, and no mess. The secret is Pop Chef's 3-in-1 air-popping action that instantly shapes, pops, and creates all your favorite foods. Pop singles or more, thick or thin, so the kids will eat healthy again. And check this out. Use Pop Chef to decorate cupcakes for birthdays, cookies for special occasions, or make holiday treats that can't be beat. Store-bought fruit arrangements can cost over $50, but the same made with Pop Chef is just a fraction of the price. You'll receive the Pop Chef with butterfly, flower, sun, heart, circle, and star cutters, plus 25 decorating skewers, all for just $10. We'll even include this idea book free. Use the tips inside to make a Valentine surprise that's sure to get a hug. But we're not done. We'll give you our 30-piece special occasion set with unique designs free. Just pay separate processing and handling. This eye-popping, show-stopping 60-piece set is all yours for just $10. So start popping with Pop Chef. This offer is not available in stores, so call or go online now.
To order Pop Chef, call 1-800-721-5418. That's 1-800-721-5418. So don't delay. Call 1-800-721-5418. Call today.
Hello there. Welcome back to Alberto's La Bella Cuccina Hour. We're having a great time with Mr. Bussinger in here. That he's telling us all kinds of great stories about Wendy Brody's marriage and when you guys got married and all. Tell us all about that.
Well, it's funny. We, oh boy,
that was your second marriage, right?
But yeah, second marriage. I was married 21 years at first, and single for 12. And then Wendy and I got married 13 years ago, but we've been together almost 25.
Oh, boy.
But we had 12 years of dating before we got married.
And eating good.
Yeah, eating. We both were eating well. So let's see. Wendy and I met because we were both. She was the chef, and I was running a resort with hotel and restaurants. So we kind of would find each other at different events and so forth. And I never was particularly seeking. I just was, we were having a good time. And funny, quick story. She was at this one event. It was at Monterey County Bank. And they were having a open house for some kind of charity, and Wendy was selling tickets to an event they were having at Stone Pine. So I bought one, and I wasn't with anyone at the time at dating, so I just bought one ticket for myself. And it turned out that a few days later, a woman I used to date before that was a friend of Wendy's. It turned out I didn't know that, and so that woman told Wendy that I probably thought that she was my date for that event. And Wendy said, "Oh, no, I already have a date, it wasn't that. Just sold the ticket." But she got to wondering about it, so she wasn't too sure. So she called me at Ventana, and I was calling her at the same time to find out about the event, about the time and so forth, not any connection. But we still haven't figured this out. All my calls had to go through the switchboard at the hotel, because it was connected there. But this went straight to each of us, no switchboard.
Right at the same time.
And we can't figure it out. Anyway.
Telepathically. Boom. Since
then, we've been very, very much telepathic in every detail. I mean, we know, like, we're thinking the same.
Soulmates.
So anyway, that's our meeting. And then I went to the event, which was a great event, and I went up to the kitchen to meet her and say hello. And then that was it. Then the Chien de Rôtisseur had a little function in the evening on the beach down by Carmel Point. And we were down there, and Wendy and we got to talking together and ended up, our first date after that was we went to Anton and Michelle's.
How about that?
At the little cocktail lounge.
Right.
I haven't been to the new one yet since they remodeled. But that's always been kind of a favorite. Yeah, Tony's a good friend. Mm-hmm. So we had our first date. Yeah, our first date there, and that was almost 25 years ago. So we celebrate our first date, which was July 13th. We go to Big Sur every year and stay either at Ventana or Dietzen's, which is a nice spot.
Dietzen's is a good restaurant, do I hear?
Oh, excellent now. Really fine. It used to be pretty up to about, 10 years now. It's been really good, so it's good. So that was our traveling venture. We since then, Wendy has been such a celebrity chef. We were on Crystal Cruise Line twice, where she was celebrity chef.
And filming at the same time.
This is after we were married together. She would develop a menu, and then they'd cook it for that night, and then she would go around and talk with the guests on the ship. Sea Dream Yacht Club, also very, very, it's 100 suites ship. Very, very nice. And she was, I don't know, she may have talked on your show about the Jockey Club in Hong Kong, and Zermatt, Switzerland, and all the top hotels in Germany. And so she's done a lot of celebrity stuff. And I, of course, besides carrying luggage, get to enjoy.
Why not? The best.
But I'll go out in front and meet the press when she's opening her, the first night of an opening at one of the restaurants. She was celebrity. And I would meet with the press and fill them in. So it was kind of fun for me, too. We all had a blast.
So both of you will be invited to all her appointments and
everything,
so forth.
Yeah. And Hong Kong was special because they people that we've met in Hong Kong, even the top brass people, had tiny little apartments in Hong Kong, and they gave us a apartment for 2 weeks that was bigger than this room, just the two of us. And we felt guilty. We'd meet this guy, and they'd squeeze in.
Room if you feel like, wow.
Yeah, but it was good.
You're special.
Yeah.
Because you were special.
Oh, yeah. They were good people, and the Chinese were just a wonderful time there in Hong Kong. I was there in 1951 when I was in the Navy.
Wow.
And everybody lived on boats out in the water at that
Everybody.
time. Oh, it was thousands of boats just packed
Really?
into the harbor. Yeah, we had to, when the ship pulled in, we had to use the fire hoses to keep them from climbing up. They was all going to swarm onto the
Is that
ship
right?
to sell things and stuff. Oh, that was 1951, so that was
Wow,
a different
very
Korea.
strange.
No.
Yeah.
So anyway, but Wendy, now we do mostly catering and cooking classes. As I say, Wendy loves to teach, so the cooking classes are great fun. And I help her with that. I help her with, with all of it. I do the slicing and dicing for her, and oh yeah. I get pretty good. I do all the home cooking. At home, she doesn't, it's like, hey, just let me go. And I love to cook because it's very meditative. I really enjoy, like that one monk at Tassajara said, he says, and you chop spinach, you chop spinach. So that's, I get into that state and meditate. It's just wonderful. Yeah. So we just go on, and we're hoping to continue the show. We've got, like I say, the idea is just a matter of production money to do it.
Put them out there.
Yeah. And we get constant, Wendy gets that. I used to be Mr. Ventana for years whenever I went. Now I'm Wendy's husband.
Well.
Which is good.
Yeah.
No problem.
Nothing wrong with that.
But it's a funny change.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, it's there. You guys are having a wonderful time.
Oh, yeah.
And, it's going to continue forever, I guess.
Oh, I planned that for sure, yeah. And, we got all kind of things. We built a house in 2000.
And the house is in Carmel?
Carmel Highlands. Carmel Highlands.
Highlands, okay.
Just a mile past the Highlands Inn.
Wonderful.
And it's dynamite. We just keep adding little things here and there to it. A garden, patio, just always improving it.
Tell me, what do you think about old school and then the new school that nowadays are, the little appetizers?
Oh, I see it changing back again. I see it getting back, maintaining some of the, quote, advances like that, but getting back to some, like, mashed potatoes. Things that are good old home cooking, soul food type. But with a twist, like they have these, like, popsicle type things, like it's a mushroom stuffed with crab or something on a stick. Yeah. So so it's kind of a combination. The chefs are getting more and more creative. And the ones that
they give you less to eat, though.
Well, yeah, you just have to have more of them.
That's a good idea.
I don't give up.
You got to give 2 of those or 3 of those.
Oh, yeah.
In order to get yourself,
Sure.
An appetizer is 2 little things like that. I'm not full with that.
No, but those are more like hors d'oeuvres for like you're standing around with
and then
champagne.
even in the main course, they have the
Those,
drawing with the sauce, and the sauce they put this like a little tower.
And it costs the same, for half the food.
Yeah,
but I think that's changing. A lot of restaurants have been through. I see that coming up again. There's a really good sized piece of meat or fish, So hopefully. I'm with you. Yeah, it's. I'm
an old school person. I mean, I like to. If you want a steak, you're gonna steak. You want, you want an osobuco, you want a big osobuco. Mm-hmm. Because that's old school. That's something that people actually don't know about that.
That's why I think the home cooking food, soul food or whatever you want to call it, has never disappeared. There's always been some people.
Well, we are kind of having a great time with Mr. Bossinger.
Yeah, well, thank you.
And if you remember, if you want to dine and treat yourself well, call Alberto's Ristorante, where you will find a great time, a great meal. And if you mention this program, I will buy you a glass of wine.
Ooh.
So remember, if you want to treat yourself well, enjoy your dinner at Alberto's Ristorante, 1219 Forest Avenue. We got to say ciao, and we'll be right back next Tuesday with another wonderful guest. Thank you again very much, and God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you.